Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to unpack exactly why highly intelligent, emotionally mature people often make the very deliberate choice to keep their social circles small. I mean, have you ever wondered why some of the smartest, most put together people you know would rather just stay in with a good book than go out to a huge, crowded event? Or hey, maybe you're the one who always pulls the infamous Irish exit at parties. Or maybe you're just trying to understand a friend who does. We have all felt that weirdly relatable guilt of sending a "so sorry, can't make it" text while we're literally already in our pajamas sitting on the couch. Well, it turns out that instinct, it's not an accident, and it is absolutely not a character flaw. Today, we're breaking down the mechanics behind social curation, looking at the real science of social fatigue, and uncovering why a tiny circle is often the ultimate hallmark of a highly active mind.
Okay, I want you to think about this quote for a second. Loneliness isn't always a problem. Sometimes it's a strategy. That totally flips the script, doesn't it? We are so conditioned by society to think that being alone is inherently a bad thing, like it's a failure to connect or a sign you're falling behind. Society constantly tells us that a packed calendar equals a full life. But what if stepping away from the crowd is actually a highly calculated, emotionally intelligent move? What if choosing to be alone is exactly the environment you need to thrive, process complex ideas, and just protect your own well-being? Let's get into section 1. Solitude is not loneliness. This is the crucial difference between a deficit and a choice.
So, to kick off this paradigm shift, we really need to bust the myth that a small social circle means something is quote unquote wrong. And to do that, we have to redefine our terms. Look at the stark contrast between these two states of being. On one side, we have solitude. Solitude is intentional, it's peaceful, it's a strategic choice you actively seek out to recharge your internal batteries. You're alone with your thoughts, and you find deep comfort in that. Now contrast that with loneliness. Loneliness is like standing in a crowded room but feeling completely invisible. It's accidental and it hurts. It's a social deficit where you're desperately craving connection but just feel isolated. The big takeaway here? Highly intelligent people aren't walking around suffering from loneliness. They're actively practicing solitude because it serves a very specific psychological purpose for them.
Moving on to section 2, conserving your brain energy and managing your social fatigue. Think of your brain kind of like your smartphone battery. When highly intelligent people are in crowded, noisy places with dozens of fragmented conversations happening all at once, their brain energy just plummets. Large group settings are a massive, massive drain. Then you have small talk, which eats up a moderate chunk of that battery and is honestly exhausting in its own right. But look at solitary intellectual pursuits. For these individuals, stepping away to read or think or work alone doesn't drain their energy at all. Actually, it's the complete opposite. Engaging in a solitary pursuit is quite literally plugging that smartphone back into the wall. It's how they recharge a totally depleted battery after navigating a chaotic social landscape. And psychological studies back this up. It is absolutely fascinating. Highly intelligent minds operate almost like supercomputers, but supercomputers that have like 50 browser tabs open at once. They don't just hear surface-level chatter. They're simultaneously analyzing subtle shifts in body language, background noise, the subtext of what's being said, all the little micro-interactions across the room. Because their brains process all this data at such a high volume, they naturally experience social fatigue way faster than the average person. Their system simply gets overloaded from running too many high-demand apps at the same time. So seeking out solitude? It's not a quirky antisocial trait. It's a biological and cognitive necessity. It's literally the required reboot command to cool the system down. All right, section 3, craving deeper conversations. Or as we could call it, the allergy to small talk. If you have ever felt genuine physical exhaustion from trying to sustain a 10-minute conversation about the weather for the 5th time in one day, trust me, you are not alone. Forced networking and surface-level topics act like a paralyzing agent for an active mind. Talking about celebrity gossip or basic pleasantries feels like trying to run a marathon in quicksand. It's exhausting and there's zero intellectual reward. But when the conversation shifts to abstract ideas, theories, the universe, or personal growth, the dynamic completely flips. Trading that conversational quicksand for a deep, idea-driven chat acts like a massive shot of espresso. It is inherently energizing. Intelligent people keep their circles small precisely because they are actively filtering out that exhausting quicksand, saving their time and energy for those rare, intensely energizing deep dives. Let's look at section 4, protecting your mental peace, the fortress of emotional maturity. Protecting your mental peace isn't about being cold or rigid or just disconnecting from humanity. Actually, scratch that. It's really about treating your energy like a VIP club. Emotional maturity means you are the bouncer at the door, making sure unnecessary drama, toxic behavior, and chaos don't get past the velvet rope. When you reach a certain level of emotional maturity, you quickly realize your peace of mind is literally your most valuable asset. You stop letting just anyone have unfettered access to your energy. You're effectively building a fortress. And this fortress isn't meant to keep the whole world out. It's meticulously designed to safeguard the tranquility and focus you've worked so incredibly hard to build on the inside.
Which brings us to Section 5, mastering selective friendships and curating the inner circle. So how do we actually put all this into practice? Well, it comes down to a really clear 3-step blueprint for actively curating a meaningful circle. Step 1, assess your energy leaks. This means taking a hard, honest look at your relationships and pinpointing the friend who treats every coffee date like a one-sided venting session that just leaves you drained. Step 2, seek intellectual stimulation. Once you've plugged the leaks, you actively gravitate toward people who make you think, who safely challenge your perspective, and who love those energizing deep chats. And finally, Step 3, prioritize mental peace. If a relationship consistently brings tension or anxiety instead of support, an emotionally mature person will quietly, respectfully step away. It is just a brilliant system of self-respect. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to chew on this week. Who is draining your energy and who is actually stimulating your mind? Take a good hard look at your social circle through this new lens. And remember, choosing solitude and intentionally keeping a smaller group of friends is absolutely not a sign of loneliness. It's for sure not selfish. It is a true mark of deep self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Thanks so much for joining me for this one, and hey, go unapologetically protect your peace today.